Many neighboring nations have expressed their concerns as the conflict between Ukraine and Russia intensifies into something worse. But despite the move the United States has put in place to put an end to the war, the situation is escalating beyond control, and if not nipped in the bud, would turn into a full-blown nuclear war, leaving both countries in utter destruction. Russia is preparing to launch several missiles to incapacitate Ukraine, using its submarine. And if this happens, NATO would have to deploy their destructive submarines to support Ukraine and put an end to the war immediately. But how powerful is the NATO submarine? Does Russia have defense tactics in mind? Join us as we delve into the capabilities of the NATO submarine that can destroy Russia in 30 seconds. A recent move by Russia has left the world to speculate what the Russians might have in store for Ukraine. Recently, the only Russian Kilo-class submarine that is equipped with a pump-jet propulsion system has returned to sea after undergoing several months of upgrades for operational trials. The return of this submarine, named Alrosa, can be interpreted as Russia getting preparation to engage in a nuclear conflict with Ukraine. It is important to note that this is the first time in 8 years since the submarine has undergone thorough testing in various operational modes to demonstrate its capabilities and readiness for war. The decision to conduct these several tests on the submarine after several years of no action can only mean one thing, which is the fact that the Russians are trying to make sure that the submarine is well equipped, would operate optimally in the face of war, and keeping it in line with Russia's military objectives. The processes involved in the testing phase includes evaluating the way the submarine would perform in the several scenarios it may find itself in. This would point out its ability to navigate different operational modes with effectiveness. This testing process is aimed at evaluating the submarine's ability and, most importantly, to fix any potential shortcomings, ensuring it meets the standard that is required for active duty. This piece of information can change the outcome of the war because it is a known fact that Russia is skilled in the development of powerful submarines, and their rivals would need an equally powerful submarine to defeat them. Documents from the last 10 years have revealed the effort that Russia has been putting into the production of their submarines and trying to make them more advanced with high technology features. Submarines are super important for Russia's navy, and as mentioned earlier, one of the upgraded submarines is the Alrosa, and it is equipped with weapons that it didn't have in the past, and this is a new development that might pose a threat to Ukraine. NATO has made its concerns known in relation to the weapons equipped on the Alrosa, but it's not the only Russian submarine that they should be concerned about, because Russia has around 20 Kilo-class submarines, similar to the Alrosa, and they are also getting them prepared and upgraded for war. These submarines that were first introduced in 1980 are 230 feet long. They have been doing really well since then, and Russia has been using them for over 4 decades and upgrading them every 10 years to stay in vogue with technological evolution. The most significant of these upgrades is the adoption of the 3M14 caliber long-range strike missiles. These missiles can wipe out targets from over 30 miles away in seconds, thanks to a basically hypersonic top speed of Mach 3. It is faster than any fighter jet in operation today. A missile with this feature strongly complements the useful but old capabilities of the 40-plus-year-old submarines, particularly the 6 or 7-bladed propeller propulsion that can power them for more than 8,600 miles, giving them a maximum speed of up to 17 knots. The Alrosa, which is currently being tested, has a pump-jet propulsion system, similar to the one in the Bore-class nuclear-powered ballistic missile submarines. This system comes with various benefits than the regular propellers. It enables the submarine to perform more efficiently in several situations, especially in shallow water. Also, it allows the submarine to go faster without making much noise, making it sneakier and leaving it undetectable when traveling long distances. This stealthiness is considered to be the most important advantage of this propulsion system. The reason for bringing back the Alrosa into action, even before the current war in Ukraine, is not very clear. It seems like the decision might have been influenced by the demands of the conflict, as Ukraine turns out to be a more significant force to reckon with than Russia expected. The situation was not as expected, especially compared to the possibility of NATO getting involved in a large European war like this, with the hope to put an end to the long-overdue conflict and restore peace. The United States and Britain have informed Vladimir Putin that if he continues to promote the war, they will react without hesitating. Now, considering the possibility of NATO getting involved, let's take a look at the submarines that NATO has in its possession and compare its capabilities with the Russian submarine. Back in the Cold War, the United Kingdom had 12 nuclear-powered submarines. They wanted to make a new one as powerful as the Trafalgar Mark II ships, thinking about a possible war with Soviet submarines in the North Atlantic and the Arctic. But after the Soviet Socialist fell apart, the threat from Russian submarines didn't seem as scary. This made the Russian leaders come up with new requirements for their future nuclear ships. The UK took a break from designing submarines, and after some time, they introduced what could be the most advanced submarine they ever had. The first Astute submarine was made in 2001, and this was 10 years after the last Trafalgar and 3 years after the last Vanguard-class submarine, HMS Vengeance, was launched. Building one of these atomic submarines, known as Astute, cost the United Kingdom a huge amount of $1.95 billion. When they were designing this submarine, Britain did not only consider its technical features, but they also focused on making things comfortable for the crew. The Astute class became the second type of submarine, following Vanguard, to end the practice of having two sailors on different watches sleep in the same bunk at different times. The submarine is designed to accommodate every member of the crew comfortably. According to Ian Breckenridge, the Royal Navy commander, the sonar system on the Astute is remarkable. He mentioned that during the Fellowship 2012 Joint Mock Battles exercise, he had never experienced being able to keep a submarine at a distance like they did with the USS Virginia-class New Mexico. Commander Jim Howard, in charge of the 4th Astute-class vessel, HMS Audacious, laid emphasis on the submarine's capabilities during exercises with NATO allies in the Mediterranean. He also emphasized that these activities portrayed Astute as Britain's most advanced and combat-ready nuclear submarine, pointing out the country's total commitment to NATO missions. The Royal Navy has already put the first 4 submarines of the Astute class, HMS Astute, HMS Ambush, HMS Artful, and HMS Audacious into service. The 5th submarine, HMS Anson, is currently undergoing sea trials, and in addition, 2 more submarines of the same class are actively being constructed at the BAE Systems site in Barrow and Furness, Cumbria. This demonstrates the ongoing effort to expand the fleet with these modern and powerful submarines. These are 300-foot-long British submarines that can go really fast, up to 30 knots. They can also stay underwater for a long time, for 1, 2, 3, or even more years, without needing to come back or experiencing any problems. This is possible because of their special propulsion system, which includes a Rolls-Royce PWR-2 nuclear reactor and many MTU 600 kilowatt diesel generators. The Astute class is the first nuclear submarine in the world to be designed in a 3D computer environment. This, among other things, allowed the project to implement many technological innovations and abandon some old components, like the optical periscope, replacing it with video technology that allows the crew to scan the horizon with a 360-degree view to instantly eliminate any potential threat. The submarine is designed for Vanguard-class ballistic missile submarines and offers a 25-year service life without the need for refueling. This makes the new Astute submarines 30% larger than their predecessors from the Royal Navy, which are equipped with smaller diameter reactors. Although, as mentioned earlier, these ships can travel all around the world without coming up to the surface, each of them only have enough food for 90 days, so they still need to go to land to sort for supplies when they run out of them. The part sticking out of the water was made stronger, so the submarine can easily come up, even in places with thick ice. Also, unlike any Russian nuclear submarine, Astute ships have 39,000 special tiles. These tiles hide how the submarine sounds underwater, making the Astute class the quietest submarine the United Kingdom has ever had or developed. In simpler terms, the Astute becomes a sneaky underwater hunter. Some people even say the noise it makes sounds similar to those made by baby dolphins. To know what's around them, these submarines use advanced technology. They have a team of people operating special devices like Thales Sonar 2076, Atlas DSO 25 Echo Sounder, two Thales CM010 optronic masts, and the Raytheon successor IFF. These devices help them figure out who is their friend and who not to trust, making it easier to move through underwater. If any enemy ship is spotted from afar, the submarine can deal with it using its Tomahawk Block 4 cruise missiles. These American missiles are long-ranged, can work in any weather, and are shot from submarines. Each of these missiles costs a lot, around $1.9 million. They can carry either a regular explosive or a nuclear one, and can hit targets that are over 1,000 miles away. Another weapon they have is the Spearfish heavyweight torpedoes. These are big British torpedoes that are guided by wires, weigh 4,000 pounds, and have a special homing system to find targets. They can take out things that are over 33 miles away. But the most important aspect of this submarine is the big group of up to 109 experienced crew members who keep it running all the time. They stay on the submarine for a really long time, only coming back to land sometimes to get more food and supplies. With a group of professional and experienced crew members working relentlessly on a submarine with these unrivaled capabilities, Russia should be worried about it. This does not mean that Astute is problem-free. The ship had problems with the reactor and turbine not working well together, and there were also money issues. But the country not only fixed these problems, but also showed that the submarines in the British Royal Navy could be even better than a strong enemy like Russia. This destroyed all the plans that Russia might have had in the North Atlantic and the Arctic. From 2024, the missiles used by the submarine will be upgraded to the Block 5 standard, with even more range and better communication, as well as the ability to choose targets while flying. And also, Britain might add nuclear Trident IIs to the Astute class, but for now, their main job is to use tactical, non-strategic weapons. The Astute submarine has ways to defend itself, like decoys and electronic support measures. It also has advanced equipment like the Atlas Hydrographic DSO-25 Echo Sounder, Sonar 2076 sonar, two CM10 optoelectronic masts, and the IFF system. These submarines can also carry special forces, like Royal Marine Commandos or Royal Navy's Special Boat Service, using dry deck shelters while the submarine is underwater. There are also other submarines similar to the Astute class, and we would look into some of their capabilities as well. Let's check out the Suffren-class submarine. The Suffren-class submarine, or Barracuda class, is a completely new type of submarine. It was unveiled to the public in Cherbourg on July 12, 2019, 3 years later than planned. The first one became fully ready to be utilized on June 3, 2022, which is about 3 months after Russia started invading other nations. Unlike older French submarines, the Suffren does not have a periscope. Instead, it has something called an optronic mast, similar to what the British Astute-class submarines use. This optronic mast helps it see targets from much farther away and beyond what our eyes can normally see. This submarine is the first French submarine that can release a small underwater vehicle for special forces to use. This is possible because it has a special dry deck shelter that can attach to it. Even though it's a huge, about 326-foot-long submarine, it is designed to work well with only 60 crew members. This is because it uses a lot of automation, and this simply means that the machines in this submarine perform some of the tasks. Even though it's said to last only 70 days without more fuel, it can technically go on forever because it's powered by a super strong 200,000 horsepower K-15 nuclear reactor, two 13,000 horsepower turbo generators, an electrically driven pump jet, and two 640 horsepower emergency diesel generators in case something goes wrong. The submarine can attack using 4 533mm launch tubes and 20 storage racks. It can also carry FG-29 mines, Exocet SM-39 missiles that can hit targets 31 miles away, F-21 Artemis heavy torpedoes with the same range, and MDCN Storm Shadow cruise missiles that can reach targets 350 miles away. Together, these weapons create a powerful and destructive attack from underwater. The Barracuda submarines will use technology from the Triumphant class, which includes pump jet propulsion. These submarines are very quiet and sensitive, making only minimal of the noise of the Redoubtable class boats and being 10 times better at detecting other submarines. They will have MDCN cruise missiles that launch from torpedo tubes, reaching targets more than 1,000 kilometers away for long-range strikes on strategic land targets. Its tasks include fighting against surface and underwater targets, attacking land, collecting intelligence, managing crises, and carrying out special operations. The submarine's nuclear reactor is an improvement from the previous Rubis, allowing it to go without refueling or complex overhauls for 10 years instead of 7, and also making it available for more time at sea. For special operations, the Barracuda can carry up to 15 Commandos Marine. It has a removable dry deck shelter at the back, where the Commando's new generation PSM-3G swimmer delivery vehicle can be launched. Let's move on to the next submarine on the list. The Gotland-class submarines are 200 feet long and use diesel-electric power. They are the world's first of this kind and have a unique feature: a Stirling engine air-independent propulsion system. This system lets them stay underwater for a longer time, from a few days to a whole week. The Stirling engine that is developed by making use of the ship's builder's cocoons makes use of seawater to remain efficient and generate very minimal noise even when the submarine is moving really fast at a speed of 20 knots. The machines that are available inside the submarine are kept at a distance from each other, and a rubber is used to stop the noise and vibrations from the ship, making it as quiet as possible. The submarine's design also helps it achieve 100% stealth, helps to reduce noise, hides it from infrared sensors, and makes it hard to spot with sonar. The submarine makes use of a special magnet to hide its magnetic signal, and the submarine is made almost undetectable, protecting its crew that are on board. The submarine is designed for various missions like anti-ship and anti-submarine warfare, gathering of intelligence, and forwarding surveillance. As of 2008, the Gotland class was in service with the Swedish Navy. When on the surface, the submarine is powered by 2 sets of MTU engines. When submerged, a Kockums-built Stirling engine AIP system drives a 75-kilowatt generator for propulsion or charging the batteries. The Stirling engine is quiet and uses surrounding seawater as a heat sink, increasing efficiency. The submarine's endurance underwater depends on the stored liquid oxygen, described as weeks. The class is known for low acoustic signatures, high shock resistance, and an effective combat system. The Gotland class is highly maneuverable due to its hull design and X-rudder. The X-rudder, along with 2 on the sail, allows sharp turns and operating close to the seabed. Automation and computerized steering enable a single operator to control depth and course, leading to a smaller crew, good accommodations, and low operating costs. Stealth features include isolating ship machinery on rubber dampeners, a hydrodynamic hull to reduce noise and infrared signature, and counteracting magnetic signatures with independent electromagnets. Various coatings reduce sonar response, and the mast is coated for radar absorbency. With a near-silent Stirling generator and slow-turning propeller to prevent cavitation, these submarines are challenging to detect underwater, especially in their usual area, the Baltic Sea. But despite all these mind-blowing capabilities that these NATO submarines have portrayed, the Soviet K-222 remains the fastest submarine ever developed. It was the only submarine of its kind, and it was referred to as Papa class by NATO in the Soviet Navy during the Cold War. Even though the Soviets considered it not very successful, it became the fastest submarine worldwide. The submarine had different names during its construction and service. It was first called K-18, then K-162, and finally K-222 in 1972. The Soviet government was not particularly elated with the Echo-class submarines because they had to surface to launch missiles. In 1956, they started a program for a fast sub with missiles that could launch underwater. Construction began in 1963, but progress was slow due to working with titanium. The submarine was finally commissioned in 1969. It had 10 anti-ship missiles and 4 torpedo tubes. These submarines from Sweden, France, and Britain, 3 countries in NATO, against 1 submarine from Russia. If Russia uses a lot of force, this kind of protection is what Ukraine wanted when they tried to join NATO. Even though the official documents is yet to be signed, Ukraine is already being treated like a NATO member in many ways, and that's a good thing to notice. Thanks for watching. While you're still here, click on the link appearing on your screen to watch another of our interesting videos. See you there.